What is going on, movie meals? Movie meals. Um, we're here to talk Loki after show. As our after shows always do, they come out not immediately after the show. But
It's after Al.
we're here to
It
talk
counts.
about it. Before we get into that, thank you to Steve, Kimberly, and Karen for being patrons. Go be a member of the Patreon. All link in the description. Our merch, you got like 3 days left. Promo code Movie Meals. Get 20% off. We have brand new Father's Day stuff. Thanks for watching, Dad. We didn't forget about the dads. Go get some of that merch. Great stuff. I'm wearing my I missed the movie shirt today because I went to a movie, and I like to wear it when I go to the movies because I missed them so much. But we're here to talk Loki, all things spoilers. So let's just get into it. And I'm just going to ask Kyle here right off the bat. What did you think of this episode? Take me in any direction you desire. What'd you think?
Colored me impressed with this first episode because, I liked what I saw from the trailers. Like the aesthetic looks great, the concept, the story, it all looked really good. And, Tom Hiddleston is amazing as Loki. But my worry when leading up to this show was, okay, we've seen the progression of Loki and how he turned from bad to good.
Yeah.
So they're basically going back to the drawing board and showing how he's going to become bad to good, I imagine, in this show. So I'm wondering, how is this progression going to be different? Like, I'm fine with seeing his progression again, but show me a different way to go about this transition as compared to what we've seen before. And what we've seen before is Loki turning from bad to good at the side of Thor. But now, judging by this first episode, and this first episode, I think, handled this very well and kind of understood like what it was facing heading into it, is that they said, we know that you've seen this progression. We know that you've seen it as he was standing next to Thor the whole time. But how about we show it to you all the way back from the beginning when we first know about Loki and what he was like beforehand. And we take him on his own solo adventure and we really dive deep into what makes Loki tick, what makes Loki who he really is, like what really drives him. And there's some things that we already know what drives him, like he's trying to take up the mantle of the king of Asgard, and he's mad at Odin, but at the same time respects him, things like that. But it really sounds like the show is going to take a deep dive and do a character study on him. And judging by this first episode and how they laid that out and explained this, I am on board with this show. I think I'm really going to like how they are going to handle this character and how they are really going to show us a much bigger progression than what we've seen before in the past. So right away, because they handled that so well and kind of not fully telling us, but just in the character moments and the discussions between him and Owen Wilson's character Morbius, I was like, okay, I see where they're going with this. They're going to really take it on a deeper level. This first episode alone is basically exposition, but it's just so well handled to me that I was entertained the whole time. And once I saw through their exposition on kind of explain to the audience how much of a deeper dive they're going to take this, I was on board. So that's really the big thing for me that this episode had to prove. And if it already did that in the first episode, then I think I'm going to enjoy the rest of this show.
Yeah, I loved the first episode. I thought I'll preach it till I die or until they knock it off. Marvel and Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige is a top storyteller of all time. He is constantly switching up the genres. He's learned from past mistakes, and that is exactly what this is. It's a switch up of the genres. I'm not even sure what you classify this as, but it is unique. It's different. I loved so much. Obviously, Tom Hiddleston is an absolute incredible actor. He's phenomenal. And I'm not a huge Owen Wilson fan. I liked what I got out of Owen Wilson from this first episode. And almost everything in the trailers was in this episode. Like, I remember watching the trailers being like, man, we're going to get like 4 eps in and we're going to get this insane thing with him in an airplane jumping out and then getting caught by Thor. What is all that? Turns out it's a flashback for him just pretending to be DB Cooper, which was just incredibly interesting, which is a story I had kind of forgotten about. And I had to say to my friends, I was like, who the heck is DB Cooper? Or DC, I don't remember what it is. Something like that.
I think it was DB Cooper. Yeah.
Yeah, they all told me about it. And I was like, oh, I did know about that. You know what I mean? Like, I had that moment. But I loved it. I thought the humor hit. I thought the uniqueness of the time stuff worked. It is really interesting. I liked, so one, we get the thing where Loki sees 80,000 Infinity Stones. There's like 90 of them in there. And he's like,
Yeah.
are these Infinity Stones? And whoever the heck was working there is just like, yeah, we get these paperweights in all the time. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I like that he was like, this is the most powerful thing in the universe. I thought it was Thanos who
Yes.
was trying to get all the Infinity Stones, but it's actually whatever this is. And I'm curious where they're going to go with that, because part of me doesn't like that, because it's like, man, don't underplay my boy Thanos here. Don't underplay the importance of all that. But at the
Okay.
same
Yeah.
time, I think it's unique and it's interesting and different. I really liked the aesthetic they went with, like when they did the old television program of like what
Mhm.
this place is, the TVA. I like that it looked like those old comic books. Like the
Yeah.
design, the aspect of everything was really cool. I hope we eventually get something with these gods or whatever they are. I guess they're not gods, whatever. I don't even know what they are. They're not Eternals, right? They've got to be higher up than that. What is higher up? Are they? They're not the
I forget what
Watchers
they're called.
though.
Like no, they're not Watchers. They're like the time. What were they called? Timekeepers? Time Lords? I can't
Yeah,
remember what they were
they
called now.
call them that now, but what were they before that, right? Because they explained that there was this big chaos and fight, and then these guys came
Hmm.
along, was like, let's just make this straight, make it one giant timeline.
Hmm.
I did like that Loki's like, what about the Avengers that are bouncing around time right now? And they're like, no, 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 that's supposed to happen. You getting the Tesseract wasn't, which is a
Yeah.
little, you got to suspend your disbelief, because at that point it's like, so you're telling me that Hulk wasn't supposed to, go down the stairs, hit Tony for the Tesseract to fly to his shoe for him to use it to escape. Um, it's also interesting, you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit, because it's like, does Loki have to travel back in time? He couldn't have just used that to go somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like he traveled through time and that's why they grabbed him. But it's like you couldn't have just gone in the same spot or whatever. I don't know. It's funky.
Like
The
same
time
moment in
stuff's funky.
time.
Yeah. And they
Yeah.
handle time well with Marvel, but I really liked when he realized that he wanted to stay because of power, and then when he watched the movies play out, when he saw what his life was going to be, how he ends up being a
Yeah.
big reason his mom gets killed. And then to see Twitter lost their minds over this. And I don't know if you caught it, because I didn't catch it. But that the reel doesn't end at him at Thanos grabbing his neck, that it ends with Thor hugging him. So everybody's saying that the
Hmm.
last thing that Loki felt was his brother hugging him and grieving over him. And
Yeah.
that I really loved. The emotion, the power in the performance. I mean, staying on his face so long, it was powerful. I really liked it, and I'm really curious where they're going, since they've, like with WandaVision, I remember us being like, man, there's that Halloween episode. We've seen these Halloween scenes. When are we going to get this Halloween episode? And that was like episode 5 of 8 or 9, however many they
Yeah.
had.
Something like that.
And the last 4 was nothing we had ever seen. And almost everything was in this first episode. So I am incredibly curious where they're going, especially with this whole, we have a time variant who's killing everybody. Oh, it's you, Loki. What on earth? But then they didn't show us that it was Loki. So
Hooded
what is
figure.
going on? Yeah, what is going on here? I talked a lot. What are you thinking on everything here?
I want to go back to the Infinity Stones thing because that was hilarious.
Yeah,
I
it
thought
was
that was the
super funny.
funniest thing because one, it does show it does show just how powerful the TVA really is. But two, it was kind of a rude awakening for Loki, that Loki had this idea of like, if I just have this one Infinity Stone, I could be the ruler that I've always wanted to be, the god of mischief, but people are going to be respectful of me if I do this. But then he gets this rude awakening that he's like, wait a minute, these are meaningless in some other place. Like, I'm way out of my element. Thanos is even way out of his element. Like, these
Yeah,
guys are legit. Like, they're more powerful than me. So not only not, I mean, does it undermine like the Thanos and all that arc? Maybe a little, but even still, it just worked for me within the context of the show, to where it shows that Loki is truly out of his element. And I think that's going to make for really interesting and compelling narratives for him moving forward, especially since we're pretty much all the way back at the beginning when it comes to this character. And even more, they showcase that when he was watching his life play out, when he saw his mother's death and when he saw his death, like he went through some stages of grief hard to where he was
Yeah.
just so shocked, shell shocked by it that he's just laughing like a maniac at the end because he's like, I just witnessed my death and everything's meaningless I've been trying to do. I have no idea what's gonna happen now. And and I think that stuff on top of just showing that like conversation alone for a starting episode showed that that this show is going to be in capable hands. Like this show easily could have been, big action set pieces and some, quiet moments here and there, but this show was like, no, we'll get to the big stuff, don't worry. But this is going to be a show dedicated to a character and focus on character first, and it gets me really excited. And I think already we're seeing why Feige respects, I forget this guy's name now, but why he respects this showrunner who worked on the show. It's just because this first episode alone, I'm like, okay, I see what Feige sees in this guy, and I can't wait for how the rest of this show is going to play out. And you're right, Alex, like we haven't seen anything yet. And I think there's going to be, I don't know if there's going to be huge reveals that are going to, be threads into other stuff in the MCU, but there's going to be some really good threads just in this show and for the character of Loki alone. Like I am genuinely really impressed, and I can't wait to see what the heck they're going to pull in these next upcoming episodes.
Michael Waldron is the showrunner.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then the show will be directed by Kate Herron.
Mm-hmm.
The whole all the episodes were directed by her.
Gotcha.
I like that in Guardians of the Galaxy. Remember Rocket had this line where he's like, "You're from Earth? Who gives a like? No one cares about Earth. You mean that tiny little nothing?" And then now it's like all of the time variant people are all humans. All the Eternals are just stuck on Earth and they just love Earth. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of funny how it's just kind of changed and Earth's kind of become the center. Like Loki's obsessed. I have to conquer this Earth. It's like. Wasn't Rocket just crapping all over this planet, like a couple movies ago?
Yeah, it's no kidding. Funny. I don't know. I mean, and who knows? Maybe the people work at the TVA, maybe they're actually aliens, but they live on a planet that's like Earth. I don't know. I mean, so it's kind of that suspend disbelief thing, like, what can you do?
They said the timekeepers created them, like they're basically their god, and then seeing the giant city. And him saying, I thought there was no magic here. And he's like, this isn't magic. It just shows that they're just that technologically advanced, was really cool and looked beautiful. I mean, it was just watching a movie. This first episode was awesome. I really liked it. And I just want to know, I don't know where we're going to go from here with this villain. And that really excites me. Why are they on a farm in the middle of nowhere? They went to Earth multiple times. Why are we
that? Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing like the TVA go to other places besides Earth, but whatever. Maybe that'll happen. But anyway, you continue.
Maybe there's just branches, and this branch is just the Earthlings who deal with Earth. I don't know. The fish joke I thought was amazing. What is a fish? Dude, I've lived my whole life behind that desk. What are you talking about? These gods created me. Like, what the heck is a fish? I'm threatening you. It was really good. And he did a really good job. For an hour, it flew by. It's funny how when we got 38 minutes of some WandaVision episodes and Falcon Winter Soldier, and we were like, this is not enough. We want more. And then Loki, it was like, man, that flew by. That was an hour. Wow, that was that long. It's the narratives just kind of switched a little bit, but
just depends on how the show's handled.
I liked, it was interesting in the beginning too, because they said the kid was like pointed to the mural of the devil. And he said, and Owen Wilson's like, oh, it's the devil that did this. And then we get Loki, because I remember thinking the devil, and I was like trying to go through my head of the limited Marvel characters I know. Yeah, and I was trying to think of who could be considered the devil. And I guess Loki, if he's got his horns on, maybe. But I'm not showing us who the hooded figure is. And then, but revealing that they're going after Loki makes me think that the God of Mischief is up to something. And I wonder if it's not necessarily a huge misdirect. If it is Loki, but it's just this, either it's a multiverse Loki or it's the same Loki and he has figured out a way to trick them for eternity or something. You know what I mean? Like what if this is just constantly happening where I wonder too, what if we get, cause we got some tweaks on the scenes from Endgame with Loki getting caught, where they did close-ups of him, redoing a scene or something. And I wonder if maybe we're going to get some more of that maybe Loki, the reason that it wasn't supposed to happen is because Loki made it happen. You know what I mean?
He
Like,
pushed the cube a little further to him or something.
or like he made it happen where Hulk had to take the stairs or something. And right, like the timekeepers didn't do it. He infiltrated it. But then it's like, how did that happen the first time? Like, it's Marvel, I think, does a really good job handling time travel. And time travel's hard in movies. Like, you have to be like Back to the Future. This is the set of rules we have. We start the movie with this set of rules. And that's what it is. And Marvel and Endgame kind of tweaked a little, they took it in an interesting direction, making it try to be as scientific as possible. And now that they're these gods that are doing it, I'm curious to see what the creatives are gonna do with it. Do you have any other thoughts?
I'm curious if you have any theories, because I heard one theory that it seems a bit out there.
I
So I
haven't
was
heard any
wondering if
theories.
okay, there's this, I don't know how serious this one is. Like, I just heard it off the cuff, but there's this one theory where one of those godlike beings, one of those timekeepers, people have been saying that, like, I think it's the one in the middle, looks like it has the same face as the actor Jonathan Majors, who's been cast as Kane the Conqueror, who is also a time traveler. He's like a time traveler villain. I didn't think he looked like the actor at all, and I don't know if you have it on your mind to where you think the same thing, but I don't know. I mean, I guess it's possible, but I'm not going to put much stock into it quite yet, just because even from my memory, I don't remember them even looking the slightest bit similar.
I pulled this up while you were telling me about it too, and the original tweet that went viral. I don't think it's it's not a Mephisto stretch where everybody was like, that's got to be Mephisto, but
Sure.
it's pretty whack. I don't think they look very much alike. I mean, I think they kind of do, I guess, with the shape of the face, but I don't know. I'm looking at it. I don't want that. I wouldn't
I
want
don't want
that.
that either.
I don't want this guy, because wasn't he cast for Ant-Man Quantum Realm? Like, I don't want this
Yeah.
timekeeper god to get. I mean, I don't know if they're building these timekeepers up to be the greatest power in the universe. That these three dudes literally control everything, and I don't want. We might just need to leave them alone. You know what I mean? Like, we've dealt with the Eternals. We're about to deal with them. I mean, we've got Thanos, right? Thanos is a Titan. He's not an Eternal, right? Or is that the same thing?
I think that's the same thing. I'm pretty sure Thanos, well, at
He's
least in
one
the
of them.
comics, I'm pretty sure he's an Eternal, but
Okay, so
I
I
don't know
know
if
he's
that's the
one of
same
them, but
here.
Angelina Jolie, take him out any day of the week.
Oh,
Wouldn't even
yeah,
be
for sure.
close.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah,
But those cheekbones?
I think this is people doing anything they can to get something, because we're
Nitpicking every
theorizing
little
here.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which
And
is fine. Like, that's the fun of it all. But yeah, that one I'm not too sure about.
what about the staff at the very end, right? So at the end, they go to this planet where the hooded figure is, and then there's this staff in the ground. I'm seeing some people talk about that. Do they think that is either a weapon from somebody? Do you know? Have you heard anything about this?
No, haven't looked at any theories regarding that, and I didn't really think too much of it. I'm sure like it could mean something, but I just don't know what connections there could be for it. So maybe that's the next episode. Maybe they're looking for the staff.
So here's what IGN's reporting, and IGN does a great job.
Yeah, they're good.
They're a great website.
Yeah.
And they talk about that weapon, that the people there, when they scan it, they said that it has temporal signatures that in line with the third millennium. And then it says, not only is that further forward than any point, excuse me, not only is that further forward than any point we've seen in the MCU, it's also typically the origin point for Kang the Conqueror. Kang, for the uninitiative, is a time-traveling supervillain who hails from the 20th or 31st century. So people are saying that because they're saying that that's third millennium technology, that would be
Mhm.
Kane. Now, I don't mind if Kane the Conqueror appears in this show. I don't
Yeah.
think I want him to be this godlike figure that they're building up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Less powerful than a godlike figure, but still pretty powerful.
Yeah. And it'd be interesting if he was the villain for this show as well as the villain for Ant-Man, because Marvel's never done that. They've never introduced a villain. I mean, outside of Thanos, they've never had but Thanos wasn't the main villain for all those
It just
movies.
was teased a
Yeah,
lot.
if he
Yeah.
was the main villain in this and it wasn't Loki, and he's causing all this, maybe he is taking a Thanos approach, and maybe Kang the Conqueror is made Loki happen. Now, is he a Thanos level threat? I know I've asked you if Thanos level threat before, and did you mention him?
Yeah. We've talked about this before, but I would consider him to be a Thanos level threat.
He can wipe out half the universe and handle the
Mm,
stones,
I think
the
he has
paperweights.
I think he has the ability to be better at taking control and ruling a galaxy than even Thanos can, personally.
Wow, big
From the
big
stuff
stuff.
I've read and watched, I feel like that's how cool he is. But
I gotta look more into this
maybe I'm
Kang
wrong
the
here.
Conqueror, man. I gotta go watch. There's a couple good YouTube channels that do deep dives. I might have to go check one of those out.
Yeah, I would.
Because if he is a big bad and he is the next big bad,
Mhm.
then this theory gets a little more traction, right? Again, the theory that he is the floaty middle dude, I'm out on. The
Sure.
idea that he might be either introduced as the next big threat in this show, or maybe he
Hmm.
is the villain in this show, and it's not Loki. I'm all for that. I think Marvel could do that well. Marvel having him as a full-fledged villain in this that then went on to be a full-fledged villain in another show would be good. I think that's an interesting way to do it. You're not copying what you did with Thanos, and like Loki needing to get a signal out somewhere in the timeline, or heck, if Loki just gets put back, mind wiped, but we know as an audience that Loki knows that the next big threat is coming and he never gets to tell Thor, and instead he just dies. You know what I mean? Like, that would be ballsy.
It would.
Marvel
It
likes
would.
doing that. Marvel likes doing that. Oh,
Shown to do that a time or two. Yeah.
but realistically, the hooded figure, I mean, let's be completely honest, Kyle. The hooded figure is John Krasinski as Mr.
Oh
Fantastic.
yeah, he's trying to assemble the
100%.
Fantastic Four. Yeah.
Yes. Through going into Oklahoma in like the 1800s or wherever that was, whatever time period that
Yeah,
was.
that's where Ben Grimm's gonna be. Yeah. I know
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Yes. You're
But we have to
speaking
talk about
truth.
these theories. We have to talk about
Yes.
these theories, but it's John Krasinski,
Yes. It's John
obviously.
Krasinski. He's after the cat that cut Nick Fury's eye out. This is the Infinity Stones is Marvel though, right? They always build up this thing that seems super epic, and then the
Mhm.
next thing that comes out after you loved how epic it was, they make it a joke out of it. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of become their shtick at this point.
Some of it works well. And this was one of those times for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else, or should we wrap this episode up?
Yeah, for now, I guess we'll have this Kane theory in our back pocket, but for the time being, I think we're both on board with this show and what direction they're heading in. So bring it
Yeah.
on. Give me more of this.
All right, guys. Well, tell us what you thought of Loki. Comment below. Let's start a
Yeah.
conversation here. What do you think of these theories? All that good stuff. Thank you, getting the Movie Meal patrons, guys. Go get some of that Movie Meal merch. This is the best stuff in the galaxy. So go get it. Speaking of the galaxy, I meant to put this at the top of the show. There will be no Another Happy Landing this week. Tan Man is in my city and trying to figure out how to get him to sit down with me for an hour or two to talk Star Wars won't happen. And he didn't finish his assignment for the week. But that's because he went on vacation. So he's on a week vacation seeing me. So some other friends of ours. So there won't be a show, but guys, go check us out on TikTok, Letterbox, all that good stuff. Great things. All linked in the description. Go use that promo code 20 movie meals, get 20% off. Again, comment below, let us know, like, subscribe, share, hit that little bell. And as always, thank you for watching, Mom.
See you guys.